Gershwine with the national
infielder.
anthem. That was tremendous.
So if there's not enough pressure on them, then they have to come up and sing in front of a live audience. I'd be terrified to do that. Okay, we're set. Banks and McLaughlin. Last 4 state championships have been owned by these two teams, so it'll be 5 in a row between the Braves and the Pioneers in terms of state championships at the 4A level. They have dominated for a softball. Batting first will be the visiting team, the Banks Braves, head coach James Wise.
Taking a look at some of the players that we'll watch for today's game. Senior shortstop McKenna Partain apparently headed to Minnesota.
Wow.
So D1 scholarship. Listen to this. She bats .600, 7 home runs, 38 RBIs. She had 2 home runs and 4 RBIs plus a double in the semifinals of victory over Scappoose.
That's incredible.
McKenna Partain.
And she'll lead it off. She is the shortstop and bats lefty. And she'll face in the circle for McLaughlin, Mallory Copeland. Who else to watch, John?
Well, for McLaughlin, Mallory Copeland, 23-4 with a 2.66 earned run average, bats .500 with 7 home runs of her own. And Abby Biggs bats .410, 7 homers and 25 RBIs. She's the DH today. So those are just a couple of the players that we'll be taking a look at, and we'll talk more about each one as they make their way up into the batting to the batter's box, and hopefully make it some big plays today.
Both teams have had dominant starting pitchers through these state championship runs of the last 4+ years, 5 years now, and we'll see if that continues today. We saw a great dominant performance from Strickland of Jesuit, who allowed just 4 hits and 1 run and a complete game win in the 6A game, and then we've had some actually defensive breakdowns, and that has cost teams state championship, and they've come in the first inning that the first inning jitters, the state championship nerves.
It's been all 3 of the title games we've called so far from yesterday to today, collapses in the first inning.
We'll watch here as we get going with McKenna Partain stepping in to face Mallory Copeland. And the first pitch is in the dirt, ball 1.
I noticed that Copeland will do a lot like what we saw
Strickland
do as the pitcher, and that is reach down, grab some dirt, grab the ball, and just do kind of a rub-off move on the right hip, put it in the glove, and then fire away with the pitch.
And the second offering is outside, ball 2. Well, the wind has picked up again. It blows out to right field as it traditionally does here at the OSU softball complex, and it favors a left-handed batter like Partain. Here's the 2-0 pitch on a hitter's count. Ball 3.
Change up low and outside. Nice pitch. It just missed.
So she'll grab the dirt again, go through that routine between every pitch. Will Copeland. And here's the 3-0. And it's in there for a strike.
Well, we got the umpire behind the plate, Gary Taylor, who gives that long delayed call. We can't hear him. And you have to wait until he stops, stands up, and calls.
There's foul tipped into the glove for strike 2 and a full count now, as Copeland has battled back to make it 3-2 against Partain. Partain steps out of the box briefly, gets right back in, and is ready to hit. Here's the wind and the pitch. Swing on and miss, and Partain goes down on strikes.
Nice pitch by Copeland. Nice job to settle things down and just be ready here, which we haven't yet seen. Now, it's been defense that's the problem in the first innings of the last 3 games. Not pitching or hitting or anything like that. Defense. So when the ball goes into play, we'll see how these teams do.
Keegan Wise is the batter. Center fielder, also a left-handed batter. And looks at a first pitch ball down low. I think the umpires are calling the ball and strike as it comes across, but they don't signal for a couple, 3 seconds.
Yeah, we can't hear him. He's calling something.
Yeah.
We can't hear it. I don't even know if the fans can. But we have to wait for the signal, which is long after the play.
1-0 pitch, foul tip. And it leaves the count at a ball and a strike. Just underway, 4A state championship game, the 4th of 5 championships here in Corvallis, and the longtime home of state softball. And they'll clear the photographer from Northwest Sports Photography and make him get into the dugout.
Where was he?
He was just on the edge. He was just on the top step, but make him get in the dugout. Safety first. Here's a ground ball to third. Quick play in time as Keegan Weiss is out on the play by Michael Fortune.
That was a nice play. Really the best throw to first I think we've seen yet I know that there's been a lot of plays at first, but so many of them been late, slow, high, low. That one was, boom, a rope right over to first to get the out.
Mary Shorn is the batter with 2 outs. Shows bunt, pulls back, takes a strike.
I know I should get used to this. I'm mostly a baseball guy, but to watch this kind of leaning forward and falling out of the front end of the batter's box is odd to me. But it's all part of that slap move to get down the line.
0-1 pitch, change up is high for ball 1. You know, John, the rule says that you have to make contact with both feet in the box. So those runners who are running forward sometimes are playing with that rule.
That's what I was wondering.
You'll see them use their feet to just scratch out the line in front so that they can't see, the umpire can't necessarily see a line. But if the umpire notices that they're clearly out of the box and even 1 foot when they make contact, that is an out.
Have you seen it called?
Not today, not this weekend. I've seen it called.
Yeah, because they do push that envelope, don't they?
They do, because they want to get the running start, and especially the left-handed batters here like Shorn, like the first 3, Partain, Wise, and Shorn, for Banks, have all done the slap-type move. This ball grounded, fair, base hit down the left field line, and taking a big turn at first is Shorn, and she'll get back in safely. So the first hit of the game belongs to Mary Shorn, and she's aboard with 2 outs for Hannah McCourt.
Well, I'll tell you, that was about as close to the line as you can get. Without, being a foul ball. That was as close as you can get, perfectly played.
McCourt will run one back up the middle to the shortstop. Quick throw is in time. Nice play by Rachel Lyon. And that retires the side for the Banks Braves. 1 hit, no errors, 1 left, and no runs as we head to the bottom of the first along the USA 8 Radio Network.
William Shakespeare said that all the world's a stage, and men and women are merely players. But Mr. Shakespeare never met Stephen Curry. Ni hao, the guy who was in the gym every dang day. Patron saint of the underdog, the league's most unguardable player. Bang, he knocks it down. So my apologies to Mr. Shakespeare, because onto the stage of mere players enters the babyface assassin. And he's about to write his own story. Fall back.
It was the day before the big fair opened. My guys were driving our 100-foot Ferris wheel to Oregon and discovered they needed 2 new tires. The tires were an oddball size, so they called Les Schwab.
We're on it.
They located replacements but had to go to another store. With time ticking away, they got our truck back on the road. The truck arrived at the fairgrounds at midnight, but we got that wheel up just in time. I'm Michael Davis, and that's my Les Schwab story.
Les Schwab, doing the right thing since 1952.
Blowout to right field, thankfully, because it is in the 90s and climbing with a target of about 100 degrees today. By probably when we're playing that 5A game, John, it'll be about the hottest of the day. Yeah. Late afternoon here in Corvallis tends to get very warm. And a good-sized crowd, not as big as the 6As, as you imagine. These teams have to travel a little farther than Glencoe and Jesuit did. But for the folks of Milton Freewater,
they really
on the McLaughlin side, that's a very long trip. Banks is a little closer, right?
Yeah, Banks is just up the road, about, an hour maybe, in between Forest Grove and Hillsborough up in Washington County. So that's not that far at all. But I'll tell you, Banks is also the first team to be in all white in the last 2 days.
That's true, and that's really smart.
And that's, that's a strategy move there, unless the others don't have that. But
now you remember the home team used to always wear white, right?
It depends on the sport, but yeah.
I mean, back in our day.
Football, they're always dark.
Okay.
Basketball, they're always white. And I don't know about softball and baseball. I think it's interchangeable.
Okay. I wonder who has choice of uniform color, because it could make a bit of a difference. Here's a butt laid down by Rachel Lyon, and the throw is in time. Nice stretch at first by Emma McCourt. And 1 down here in the McLaughlin first inning. It'll be Lyon, Shannon Carter, and Micah Fortune. But the Milton Freewater folks, I mean, it is a community gathering. They get upwards of 300 at their home games. And it's the thing to do in Milton Freewater is to watch Pioneer softball. Here's the first pitch strike to Shannon Carter. And there's a lot of ritual. There's a lot of fun that goes in with Nicole Christian's program. And I'm sure Banks has its own traditions. Don't know James Wise enough to ask him that. Here's a ground out to second for Carter. But they wear war paint do the Pioneers. They only wear black during the regular season. Postseason, they start mixing in colors different for the infielders and the outfielders. And they send the dads to the drugstore to buy the colored makeup that they put on their faces. So even the dads have to go to the drugstores and buy makeup for their daughters. Yes. And they try to stay really loose. They bring their boom box and start their pregame warm-up for 2 hours so that they're completely warmed up, completely loose. Little dancing going on as they do their pregame. It's a real ritual, at least on the side of McLaughlin. I'm sure Banks has its routines as well. Here's a strike. So 0-2 hole now for Micah Fortune. We're already to the third hitter of the inning.
Well, we saw Glencoe earlier with goofy hats and singing and whatnot. They were having some fun.
Here's a pitch that sails up and out of the zone just high. Ball 1-2 to Fortune, the third baseman. Fortune, a junior infielder, and she'll take ball 2. Evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bottom of the first, no score. Banks and McLaughlin. Last 4 titles have belonged to these two. There's a swinging on this pitch and a long run. And a couple players collide down there for Banks. Great effort between Katie Ragsdale and Emma McCourt, who went tumbling into each other. And Ragsdale, or McCourt, excuse me, a little slow to get up and a little gimpy as she makes her way back to first base.
Well, she dove onto the track, which is, the dirt, and dove completely parallel to the ground. Came down pretty hard. That was a great effort for that foul ball.
That's Mary Shorn, actually, the second baseman.
Second baseman.
I thought it was the first baseman going out for that foul ball. And she looks to be a little slowed after that collision with Ragsdale in foul territory. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swung on and lifted on the infield, and it will come right to Shorn, of course. It finds the player who's just a little bit gimpy, but she makes the play, and the inning is over after one complete. No score in the 4A State softball game on the USAA Radio Network.
Just a reminder, kids who participate in high school activities tend to go a little farther than those who don't. Take part. Get set for life.
And welcome back to Corvallis, everyone. Glad to have you with us for the 4A State Softball Championship game. We move to the top of the second inning. And for Banks, it will be Shakayla Schneider, Katie Ragsdale, and Emma McCourt. 5, 6, and 7 for head coach James Wise. Facing Mallory Copeland. Copeland allowed 1 hit in the first inning to Mary Shorn, but was able to shut it down after that. Here's the first pitch, strike right down the pipe.
That was our first competitive non-scoring first inning through 3 championship games.
You're right. And into our fourth now.
Or 4th.
Yes. Wow, good point, John. 0-1 pitch is lifted into left center field for a hit. So Kayla Snyder with kind of a seeing eye soft liner.
A little bit off the handle.
Yeah.
And it was just enough to get over the third baseman, Micah Fortune's head and drop right on the edge of the grass.
And you can hear it. We could hear it from here that she didn't make real solid contact. Kind of got that. It probably buzzed her hands, and she's actually rubbing her hands on at first base. And we'll have a courtesy runner as coming in for Banks is Destiny Mahler, the sophomore. Of course, Schneider will be able to re-enter, and typically with catchers and pitchers is where you see those courtesy runners, and Schneider being the catcher makes a lot of sense. She can go put the gear on and not be stressed, and then she can be ready to play when they're ready to go back in the field. Katie Ragsdale is the batter. And swings from the right side. Here's the pitch, shows button, gets it down, it's fielded, and the throw to first goes into right field. It's backed up there. The runner goes all the way from first to third on the sacrifice. And just looking down at our score here, Blair Cash, he's debating with himself. I see him talking to himself about how to score that. And I think it's going to be a sacrifice and an error.
Well, Micah Fortune came in and I think touched the ball as it was going to be a foul ball. And that's how that play started. And there's no error up on the board. There are 2 hits up on the board, in case you're wondering.
And another bunt attempt. This one hits the batter in fair territory. They're going to call a foul ball. So are they going to give Ragsdale a single? They didn't give her a hit because Snyder's hit was the second hit. Just trying to get our scoring straight here, folks. Now the umpires will come together and we'll give a chance to kind of discuss this, John. I'm going to say it was a sack bunt with, I want to say, an error.
But there's no error up on the board.
Okay. Well, Snyder went from first to third. That's an extra base. All right. Well, officially not an error yet. And again, our scorer may be reviewing it. The batter's Emma McCourt, by the way. Runners at the corner, shows bunt now, gets this one down. It's fielded by the catcher. She throws to first, and the runner from first advances to second, but Snyder has to hold at third. A nice play by Jessica Lesko as she went out and made the play very efficiently. And
well, one of the things she did was held the runner at third, looked over before throwing to first to get McCourt out. It was a perfectly placed bunt, but a good job by Lesko to hold the runner at third.
So the batter's Alyssa Rogers, the third baseman. Ground ball to second from her knees. The throw is off target. Run scores. And Banks takes the early lead. And here comes Ragsdale right behind Schneider. 2-0 on the infield hit.
Well,
wow.
That was interesting play because the throw from the knees by Carter would have been a great one. It just was off target. The effort was there.
And now there is an error on the board. So they're going to say that was an error, I think, on the second baseman, Carter, because the throw getting away allowed the second run to come in to score. Nonetheless, it's a 2-0 Braves lead, and they have now 3 hits.
2-0 and still just 1 out.
Good point. And Carly Gerlinger is the batter, the 9-hole hitter, left fielder. One out and a runner at third. So nice job by Rogers, by the way. I didn't notice she went all the way to third on that play. So it looked like an out at second, a typical 4-3 type out results in a...
so how do you score that one?
I think it's an error then.
A single and an error?
It may be, but they only have 3 hits on the board. This one lifted to right field. Here's the throw to the plate, and they'll keep the runner at third. Nice throw by Jenny Field.
Field came up charging that ball. It wasn't a line drive, but it was a shallow hit. Charged it, made the catch, and did a great job of transferring the throw all the way to home, again, to hold the runner at third.
So 2 outs now, and back to the top of the order, and McKenna Partain. Partain struck out in the first inning, was ahead 3-0, and ended up striking out. This one ripped to right field. This one's going to get to the gap and all the way to the fence. The run scores. Partain digs for second, and now she's hustling for third. The throw, no relay, as the cutoff was bobbled, and Partain with a triple.
And an RBI.
So now 3-0, Banks on top. 3 runs on 4 hits. And McLaughlin wants to regroup at the mound. 2 outs. And Partain, as you mentioned, heading to play D1 ball at Minnesota, of all places. That must be a strange place to play softball at. It's cold and it's wintry. I mean,
Yeah, I
I
don't.
don't know how they do. They must play a lot of road games early in their season. And
Just
then,
like anybody in the state of Oregon or Washington,
Well,
I suppose.
good point. Good
Michigan's got softball, great softball, and baseball.
Keegan Wise is the batter. She grounded out to third her first time and has an RBI opportunity with Partain standing down at third. Here's the pitch and fouled back out of play.
You know, McLaughlin coming in, two-time state champions, looking for their third straight, ranked number 1 in the country. They'd already beaten Banks, albeit a one-run game. But Banks right now looking as the more seasoned team so far in this particular game, up 3-0.
Change up to Wise is a strike, 0-2 hole for her. You're right. Banks looks very confident, swinging the bats well. Here's the 0-2 pitch. In the dirt, blocked by Lesko. Got to have faith in your catcher to throw those change-ups and those drop balls that are going to hit the dirt, and you're trying to get a hitter to chase, but you got to know that your catcher's going to be there to stop it, especially with a runner at third. Here's the 1-2, and foul ball.
Must have hit the plate. Ball bounced straight up. Lesko caught it and went to first with it, but foul ball.
So she stays alive. Count of 1-2. 3 runs here in the inning. 3 hits in the inning. I think our scorebook is pretty close. 1-2, the count. And a base hit to left field, scores another one. And now trying to stretch it into a double, and she's going to be mowed down. But Keegan Weiss gets the single and the RBI. And Banks has a 4-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the second inning.
That is correct. On the OSAA Radio Network.
National studies show that students who participate in activities like music, sports, and drama not only have better grades and attendance, but they develop the character to handle adversity, the grace to accept defeat, and the self-confidence to start over. Take part. Get set for life.
With a competitive rate on a home equity line of credit from U.S. Bank, you could open up a whole new world. And we'll be with you every step of the way. U.S. Bank, the power of possible.
Braves, 4 runs on 3 hits, and they have a 4-0 lead. So we head to the bottom of the second inning, and it will be Mallory Copeland, Brooke Krallman, and Sydney Richwine for the Mackay Pioneers. So Michaela Shaw staked to the big lead here and misses outside.
You know, if you look at the off the bus visual test, how teams look, how they carry themselves, you'd say McLaughlin's going to win this thing going away, because Banks was rather quiet doing their warm-ups. McLaughlin making a lot of noise, doing a lot of screaming, pumping each other up, and getting real into their warm-ups. But it's been quite the opposite since we started things.
Yeah, Banks has been very aggressive at the plate. Here's a high fly ball to center, and Keegan Wise puts it away. So Mallory Copeland is retired. And that brings up Brooke Krallman, center fielder.
Michaela Shaw has retired the first 4 batters she has faced.
Great start for the Banks starter. Here's Krallman. And a strike on the outside corner. Nice location by Shaw. And now she can really settle in and throw strikes and let her defense play behind her. There's a rise ball that rises out of the zone for ball 1.
Well, the McLaughlin dugout making a lot of noise.
Another lazy fly ball. This one tracked down by the shortstop Partain, and quickly 2 away.